Well, dogs were literally flying through the skies of the Salt Lake Valley this afternoon, flown here to be adopted by local rescue groups. News specialist Sam Penrod is at the South Valley Regional Airport to tell us more about these special canines. Sam?
Ashley, it was a relatively small plane, a single engine. It was loaded with 50 dogs and 1 cat. They'd all been rescued from shelters in New Mexico, where laws there are more strict and animals often have just 5 days in a shelter before they're euthanized.
Rescue rovers!
One by one, these dogs were carefully unloaded from a plane after spending most of the day in the air to find a new home somewhere in Utah, thanks to volunteers waiting to foster the dogs.
But she's just got here. Super fun, super little and scared.
All of the dogs were in shelters in New Mexico. Animal rescue organizations in Utah are helping to provide a home for the dogs here.
Dogs are euthanized after their stray holds up. They don't have extra days in the shelter, so they're immediately euthanized, and this is their one shot to get here, and all of the dogs that are coming today will be spayed and neutered prior to adoption, and then they'll go to their forever homes.
The dogs were flown by an organization called Dog is My Co-Pilot, which flies animals from areas of the western U.S. where they are not wanted to communities with higher adoption rates.
In Roswell this morning, got up around 5, started greeting the dogs around 7, put 95 dogs on board, dropped half of them off in Denver, the other half here.
As the dogs were unloaded from the plane, they all seem very happy to be back on the ground and welcomed by so many people who are eager to help them have a second chance.
It's very rewarding to be able to save a life. So I encourage everybody to please step up and save a life by fostering a pet.
Well, the dogs are all staying with volunteers now. They all need a permanent home. So if you're interested in adopting one of these dogs, there will be a special adoption fair planned at the Utah State Fair Park. It's set for May 13th and May 14th.
All right, Sam, hope they get their forever homes at that fair. Thank you. Dave?